Hey guys, it's Lady Raven, the Wild Witch, and I am here today to do the weekly reading for you. I'm using the Witching Hour Oracle deck, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Before we talk about that, I want to talk to you about the energies of this week that we are looking at. So there's a lot of stuff going on this week. So when you look at Wednesday, we have Saturn Square Uranus. And whenever two planets are square one another, they're kind of like battling, and they're not necessarily in opposition, but they're kind of like butting heads and going in trying to move in the same direction. So what we're going to have this Saturn Square Uranus, keep in mind that Saturn is the planet that is all about order, all about organization, efficiency, releasing things that are just taking up time and waste and all of that. And then you have Uranus, who is the rebel, really, of all the planets. It's dying to break out of, it does not like form. It's dying to break out on its own, to do what it wants. So you have those two planets going into opposition. And this is going to be a pretty big event. There's 3 of those coming up this year, and this is the first one. And they generally tend to link up wherever through the same thing throughout the year. So if you have 3 of them through the year, the 3 event days are probably going to be big on one specific project or item in your life. So keep that in mind. The one thing that's going to give Uranus a little bit more of an edge is we are sitting in Aquarius right now, which is Uranus's planet. So Uranus is a little bit stronger than Saturn in this way that we're talking about. So keep that in mind too. So if you have a lot of your rebel energy coming out and trying to maybe override reason and knowledge, take a minute, take a deep breath, and see if what you're trying to do is really necessary, or if you're just trying to be a rebel for the sake of being a rebel. So that happens on February 17th, which is this coming Wednesday. The next thing we're going to have this week on Thursday, we have the sun entering in Pisces finally. And so what that's going to bring is, Pisces is a very emotional sign. So we've been sitting in all of this mental stuff with the Aquarian stellium and all of that so far for this month. And now we're moving into Pisces, which means we're moving into the emotional sides of things. So if you're feeling yourself getting a little bit emotionally involved in things, maybe even overreacting to things sometimes a little bit, that can happen when that transition shifts. Remember that the sun represents our ego, right? It's kind of like where we are. So we were in our ego was in the place of Aquarius, which is a place of thinking and humanitarian, big world projects. And now we're moving into a place of Pisces, which is going to be kind of like introspection and dealing with our own feelings, maybe a little bit of shadow work coming up, or maybe just kind of releasing some negative things that you've been holding on to. So there's a lot of positives that can come from that change. Finally, on February 20th, the day that everybody has been waiting for, Mercury finally goes direct. So we're going to be done with that Mercury retrograde. But keep in mind that even whenever Mercury goes direct, any planet goes direct, there's a little bit of a jolt on that day. So it's going to be Saturday the 20th. There may be some, like, either an avalanche of information coming to you, or you may feel a little bit disoriented or feel a little bit of that brain fog, the same thing we felt when Mercury went retrograde. We're going to kind of hit that once again this week. So keep that in mind if you get a chance this week, so that you don't let any of these energies overwhelm you. So that is what's going on with the celestial bodies above us for this week. And now we're going to move into talking about the reading for the week. So the deck I selected for this week is the Witching Hour Oracle. And it is a really stunning deck, and it is written by Mystic Moon Media, which I should have looked up her name and I did not, but I know her as mainly Mystic Moon Media. I have been buying Book of Shadows from her for probably about, I want to say maybe over 10 years. She does these beautifully customized Book of Shadows. You can go to mysticmoonmedia.com, or you can just search Mystic Moon Media on Etsy. And I have recommended her to a bunch of people. I know a lot of people who have also purchased it on my recommendation, and everybody is super happy with it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous book of shadows, something that you can actually really treasure for the rest of your life and pass on maybe as a family heirloom or something to that extent. So this year, or actually I want to say last year, I think it was, she came out with this beautiful deck. And the minute I saw it, I basically went ballistic. And of course I jumped at the opportunity to get it. But this deck, the interesting thing about it, this is the backs of the deck, if you can see, and it is called the Witching Hour Oracle. And essentially it's based on the 12 full moons of the year. And for each moon, so she's got like the wolf moon and the corn moon and all of these different moons. And for each moon, she has drawn a card that is representing of the crescent moon in that month, the full moon in that month, and the waning moon in that month, and all of the energies that go around with that. So it's obviously beautiful artwork, but at the same time, I think it's a really unique way and different way to work with an oracle deck by combining both the moon energies in the time of year to actually bring in some oracle information. So I think that was really cool. So let's look at the cards that I have pulled here for today. And you know, the interesting thing that I'm noticing, last week I pulled the card for obstacles reversed. And this week I pulled it reversed again. So I'm not exactly sure what is going on with that, but we will look into it and see. So this is the card I pulled for the area of obstacles, vitality. And this card here, I don't know if you can see the barley at the bottom. This is associated with the barley moon or the corn moon. It's the crescent moon. And in this card, she represents the maiden goddess, very strong, very much in line and tapping into her own physical vitality, her own personal power. But I pulled this card reversed, right? Which means this is a house of obstacles that we're looking at right here. So what can vitality reversed talk to us about obstacles for the week? And what I'm going to ask is, are you really working to your full potential? Are you really putting in all the effort that you have needed to put into things this week? And because of the pandemic, we have become extremely complacent. And so are you really going all out and doing the most that you can for yourself, or are you not? And then that would be one interpretation. Another interpretation that I got for this may be that if you are right now recovering or under the weather, maybe this is, you can use that as an obstacle to just kind of lounge around and not do anything, but take an active participation on your recovery. You know, understand if you just had surgery, or if you are recovering from COVID or from a cold or for something else like that. Pay really close attention to your body and what your body is saying to you. How can I be more personally involved in my recovery to make sure that every single day I am doing something positive for myself to ensure that I kind of get back on track and get back to where I need to be. So that is the card for obstacles for the week, vitality reversed. And so let's think about what are the things that we can do to bring more of us to the everyday of things that we're doing. So that's that card. And then finally, in the card, in the field of opportunities, this is a beautiful card. This is actually the full moon card for the wolf moon. And so the wolf moon, you know, it comes at a time of very cold weather, January timeframe. And here we have a lady with her sword and a protective spirit next to her, the wolf, obviously. So, and the card is a protection for this one. And so my question for you is going to be, maybe you are giving too much of yourself in some ways, and there are some things that may need to be protected from others, especially as we have moved more into an online environment. I see a lot of people posting all kinds of online pictures of all the spiritual work that they're doing. Which is great, but at the same time, that's a lot of very personal information for you to be sharing online. And I know that part of it is because we basically feel completely isolated, and it's a way to reach out. But I'd like for you to just be aware of what it is that you're doing. If it's a public ceremony you're holding, great, share it all the way. But if it's a personal and private ceremony that you're doing for yourself, maybe think about just sharing one component of the ceremony. Don't share your entire altar. Don't share the entire thing. And then maybe look at the people around you that may need a little bit of extra protection this month. I think that this week would be a time to really cozy up to your spirit helpers and say, yo, dude, I need some help. Come help me out. Come protect me so that I can really rise up to my full potential this week and not feel like I'm being kept down in some way, shape, or form, or that I'm not giving all of myself. So protection is the key here. And there's a lot of other ways to protect yourself. You know, you can use, if you're a witch, you probably understand shielding. You can use that. If you are not, if you work with archangels or with animal totems, you can ask them to come and stand over you and help you and have your back for this week while you kind of get yourself back on track to where you need to be. And there's my protector right there that my friend, beautiful friend Loy gave to me. You saw this last week as well. Polar bear is my totem, and I absolutely adore this little music box or music ball. But anyway, so ask your spirit helpers to protect you, to stand in for you, to tell you what it is that you need to do and how it is that you need to do it. So that is my reading for the week, and I hope that all of you have a fantastic week. This week I added, this is a beautiful piece of natural, and it actually has some, I don't know if you can see it, it's got some drusies in there, really, really pretty. And it's got a little bit of mica too, which is kind of cool. But this is a piece of natural moss agate that I picked up in Hendersonville last year with my good friend Lindsay. So I use this here today to kind of move us into a place of abundance for this week. I know everybody pretty much needs it at this point. Everybody's in recovery right now, whether economic or whether from being completely isolated, from being either recovering from disease or illness or anything like that. So let's focus on bringing abundance into our lives. Make sure we have all of our protection set and that we give all of ourselves into what it is that we're trying to achieve. Don't kind of go at it, with a kind of a halfway. Just kind of give it all you got to ensure a best success for you. So I hope this helps you, and I will see you all here next week once again for our Wyld energy forecast. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.